At 2 p.m. local time on May 16th, an unexpected volcanic eruption occurred at a volcano within Nicaragua. As a loud roar was heard, a plume of ash and hot gases rapidly rose into the atmosphere, eventually reaching a height of 5,500 meters or 18,000 feet. As this tall plume drifted towards the northwest, a light dusting of ash fell slowly across the northern section of Ometepe Island. A weaker eruption plume continued for the next 2 hours until it ceased, with gas emissions soon thereafter returning to background levels. What had just occurred was not only the Concepcion volcano's first eruption in 13 years, but also its most powerful individual explosion since 2006, being a full order of magnitude larger than its typical eruptive activity. While thankfully no lives were lost and there were no reports of damage due to this eruption, in my opinion, I would still suggest that people not approach within 3,500 meters of Concepcion's summit for the time being. For reference, the Concepcion Volcano is located in southwestern Nicaragua on Ometepe Island, where it is 95 kilometers southeast of the capital city of Managua. Ometepe Island is known as the island of two volcanoes, with Concepcion comprising the northwest and Madeiras comprising the southeast. While Madeiras has likely not erupted in more than 50,000 years, Concepcion has been the third most active volcano within Nicaragua during the last century. Concepcion's eruptions during the 21st century have almost been universally quite weak, with several hundred small phreatomagmatic to phreatic explosions occurring during each week of eruptive activity, alongside less frequent strombolian activity which ejects scattered lava bombs. The reason I suggested a 3,500 meter radius is that one prior pyroclastic flow in historic time traveled 3 kilometers down the slope. As for the May 16th eruption, it was likely purely phreatic in nature, being essentially a powerful steam explosion which fragmented overlying rock, hence the ash plume. If I had to guess why it was so unusually powerful, I would suggest that the 13 years since its last eruption allowed material which eroded away from its inner crater walls to form an unusually thick plug. This allowed significantly more gas to be able to break the overlying rock, hence why the resulting eruption was an order of magnitude larger than typical. While more smaller explosions might be now expected due to the behavior of Concepcion's recent eruptions, I have another reason to suggest why this might occur. Much like the Taal volcano in the Philippines and the Persei volcano in Colombia, the Concepcion volcano seems to produce multiple eruptions during a brief time span, followed by a longer period of no or very few eruptions occurring. For example, since 1900, if an eruption occurs after there has been an interval of 8 years or more since the last cluster of eruptions occurred, on 5 out of 6 occasions the next eruption marked the beginning of a new, more active eruptive period. Thus, while we do have a limited sample size, it is reasonable to assume that sometime during the next 7 years Concepcion will produce multiple additional eruptions. While Concepcion has produced plenty of eruptions in the past, as indicated by pyroclastic flow deposits on the shoreline of its northwest section, such eruptions appear to have not occurred for more than 1,000 years. In the long term, Concepcion is at the end stages of its several century-long eruptive cycle, which means that instead of primarily erupting basalt, it will likely erupt viscous andesite material. This also carries with it a risk of flank andesite lava flows being generated, although there are presently no indications that this will occur anytime soon. With this being said, please be on the lookout for more volcanic explosions which might occur from the Concepcion volcano in the next several days to weeks.